Good evening, everyone. I am indeed grateful for being given this opportunity to present the reflections from the Youth Forum of Climate.Culture.Peace. I'm sure that some of you might not have been able to attend our sessions. So for those, let me run you through what happened in our sessions really quick.
Can we skip to the good part?
And
it went like.
so it was an amazing and enriching experience for all of us who attended. Coming back to the task at hand, have you noticed the title of the conference, Climate, Culture, Peace? How strategically culture is at the core of everything? So let us reflect on how the youth and young professionals perceive this in its entirety. The understanding of culture has grown and is growing beyond the boxed interpretation of tangible and intangible. We recognize that culture is polychromatic, different shades due to difference in perspectives, and these perspectives are shaped by multiple factors, and therefore, culture is not stagnant. It is evolving. Culture is not merely traditional practices, indigenous knowledge, it is also something which is being freshly brewed, on the go, manifested as customs, habits, attitudes. While we remain intrigued by questions like who or what defines our culture and how cultures are shaped, we must humbly acknowledge the fact that the process of brewing culture is multimodal and multi-parametric. One may be complacent enough to tag this evolving nature as erosion, but is it so? The very instinct of humankind is to develop and grow. We surely need to look back and learn, but also weigh such knowledge rationally, logically, scientifically, and wed those with advancements and innovations of the time. We often boast of our indigenous architectural practices, saying that they are resilient. But do they satisfy the needs of the time? Thus, a fine balance of the past and present is necessary to ensure a resilient future. This brings us to two questions. Who can ensure this fine balance? Who amongst us have this incredible temperament of disrupting the status quo, thinking out of the box, and more importantly, for whom are we envisaging this resilient future? Unanimously, the youth and the young professionals of today. They are burdened with the responsibility of bringing these two worlds together. It's just not the sectors or disciplines that we need to talk about. These are two worlds that we need to bring together. For example, let's talk about climate change. The science behind is known to some of us, and for others, the shared socio-economic pathways from the IPCC report is an alien language. On the other hand, the communities, be it a nation like Tuvalu or a community from the highlands of the Himalayan state of Uttarakhand in India, it's not the science that is felt, it's the effects and impacts. While we have mathematical and analytical models to help us in assessing risks, have we been able to factor in the perception of these communities? Do we have a model at hand which can account for the ambiguity and plurality of human perceptions? Let's look at another example. Climate change-induced sea level rise is a pertinent threat, and that is well understood by some of us. But its systemic effects and impacts on communities and culture, have we been able to understand those? This is where transdisciplinarity is required. A climate scientist, a heritage professional, a social scientist need to come together with the mindset of crossing over to each other's discipline to be able to understand the social needs, the political fabric, and co-create a plausible solution with the community. This is again where the youth and young professionals are required to use their superpower. We are the ones who are known to be tech savvy. We are the ones who are worried about our culture, and that is why we all are here. We are the ones spending hours on making and watching Instagram Reels and TikTok. Then why not merge all of this together? We need to bring the science based on facts and evidence, wrap it in a palatable narrative, and present it in a way which drives us to action. If we are to accept that culture is the way of life without the divisive intonations, then we must agree that our ways of life have grandly laid us here where we are now, in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. Thus, it is clear that we need an alternative path, a path which builds a culture of resilience. Resilience to hazards, resilience to the climate emergency, resilience to conflicts. The youth and young professionals need to take up the responsibility of strategizing this path. After all, we need to do this for ourselves, by ourselves. We agree that we have been trying and we will keep on trying, but at times we do feel disheartened because the ecosystem is not conducive or receptive of our ideas. But that should not discourage us. We must keep swimming because we are doing this for us. With the climate crisis at hand, intensified disaster risks, conflicts, we are perhaps at the lowest or maybe even heading towards it. But we must understand that we fall so that we can learn to pick ourselves up. You may have noticed that many of our statements underscore the phrase that we need to do this, we need to do that. Well, let us put an end to it. Let us act now and pick ourselves up and turn this around. Let us pick ourselves up and act towards turning our vulnerabilities in all its dimensions into our capacities. If the world is still interested in the mad race of economic prosperity, we, the youth and young professionals, vouch to bring in the sustainability of our civilization through science, technology, innovation, and of course, our cultures. This is our hopescape within the riskscape that we live in. This is the culture that we want to build. I rest my case. Thank you.